Hello everyone, I'm Jessica Prado, and today we will be looking at how to use GoFormative in our virtual lessons. We'll start by logging in with Google in our district account. And we're going to focus on the formatives and the classes in today's video. So I want to show you that when we go to classes, there's an opportunity here for us to sync with our Google Classroom. This is going to be the best way to assign your formatives, and I want to show you my Google Classrooms. So I have this year's classes set up. I don't have any students in there yet, except for one test subject I have. This is an archived class that I reactivated just to use for examples for the video. So if I go back to formative, these are the classes that I currently have so far because I synced earlier. But let's go ahead and sync. And every time you go back into the Google account, it's going to ask you to verify the account that you're using. And so I'm going to go ahead and add my 4th period, my 7th period, and 8th period. I'm not going to be using the template because that's where I have all of my master information for the rest of the classes, but it's not an actual class itself. I also see here that there's one student that it says is in my forensic science class. This is that one that I archived and then reactivated. So because he's new in this list, I'm going to go and click him, and then when I import, he will now be part of the class. Okay, close. And now you'll see all of these classes, and you'll also see that that last class has 34 students in it where it had 33 before. Okay, so now that I have all of my classes, I'm going to go ahead and make sure I'm back in formatives. And these are other formatives that I already have, but I'm going to create a new one for this lesson cycle. And I'm going to go ahead and title it Example, and we'll just do an anatomy lesson. Okay, and that little jumping plus sign there tells me that's where I can get started. And I can either add content that the students can see, that's all in red here, or I can add a question, and these are things that they are going to respond to. I can also upload my own content, and it says that it can be a PDF, a doc, a Google Doc, it can actually be a picture, it can be just about anything. And then we'll show an example of how we can adjust those. So those are all of the different things that we can do, and since I'm going to be using formative as my lesson, not just a part of it, but most of the lesson, I want to start with an engagement. And so I want to go ahead and start with a video, and it's going to ask me to add a video link. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Google, and I want something nice and short. So this is a video that I'm going to go ahead and try and use right here. And it doesn't matter if you see pop-ups like that right at the beginning. It seems like most formative videos filter out that first ad. So let's go to the view. This icon right here is to let you see what the student will see. And it tells you previewing a student. To get out of that, you can just click on the X and you go back to your edit view. But you can see what the student sees on their cell phone, on a tablet, or on a computer. And so you can see if you play the video, it goes right to the video itself. It does have banners that pop up, but it's not as bad as the ads that come up at the beginning. All right, so let's say after this, hopefully I've engaged them a little bit. Hopefully I have sparked some prior knowledge. And so I want them to tell me what some of that prior knowledge is. So I'm going to click on Show Your Work, and I'm going to say, fill out the KWL chart. And if I have a graphic organizer like that, I can actually go here and I can add an image from my computer. If you have it on your Google Drive, you can do that as well. Do remember that anything that you post from your Google Drive, you need to make sure that the permissions are set so that outsiders can see it, so it's not restricted. But I'm going to just go ahead and draw a chart real quick. So I can use whatever line thickness. I can scribble, or I can do a line. I would like a straight line, so I'm going to go ahead and try that. And I'm just going to do a really quick chart. And I'm going to go ahead and text. I'm just going to do a no and want to learn. And then what did I learn? Okay, and if I want to center those and maybe change their sizes a little bit, I can do that. Now when the students get to this as a question, they're not going to be able to edit what you have done here. They will be able to edit all of this space, and so let me show you what that looks like. So let's go to the student view. So this is what they'll see after watching the video. They can click on this and see they can add to it, but they can't, so they can add text on top of it, but they can't change your text. So they can if they need to. I think they can resize it or they can move the whole thing around if they want to, but they can't actually change the visual itself that you've uploaded for them. They can just annotate on top of them. Okay, so let's say I want a little bit more from them, and I'm going to ask them to do a resequencing. So I'm going to give them some things. The video was over organizational levels of the body, so I'm going to say put the following in order from smallest at the top to largest at the bottom. Okay, and the great thing about sequencing questions is that you put it in the order from the beginning. So I'm just going to start with molecules, cells, tissues, organs, organ systems, and then organism. All right, so this is the key. This, once the students get to their question, it's going to be randomized for them, but the computer knows that this is what the correct answer is going to be. So let's look at what the student sees. See, it's already randomized, and they can move these around and put them in the order that they think they're supposed to be. Okay, so at this point, I would want them to pause a moment because I think that's enough of a warm-up for them to do before we meet. So for the next part, I would want to make sure that there was a clear picture or visual of what the next thing I want them to do is. And so notice what I did there is I went to whiteboard, which is under content. So it's not a question that I'm going to ask them to fill out, but I do want to put something that lets them know that the I do part of the lesson is over. So I'm following the model of I do, we do, you do. And so this first part would be the I do for them. This next part would be the we do. We meet in Google Meet, and we'll go over their answers to the first part of this lesson. So it's added there, and if I'll go to the student view, so that would let them know, okay, we definitely have to be in class now meeting. Now if I wanted that to be the end of this assignment, then I could from here go to assign. Since I'm going to be using this as my whole lesson cycle, I'm going to add to this, but this is a perfectly good place to stop. I'm going to select my second period anatomy and my seventh period anatomy. I want to assign and post to Google. And the reason I want to do that is if I assign and post to Google, not only will it create or open up the lesson within the Formative app, but if I go back to my classes, let's check out seventh period. And if I go to classwork, it's already there. So I didn't have to post it. It's already posted for me in Google Classroom. But if I do need to give this to somebody, I can always get a link and I can post that link as well. And then you can see here, these are the two classes that have that assignment. There's only two things on that assignment, and that's it. The last thing I'll say here is that this is a page that's going to help you look at questions, look at grades, answers that couldn't be auto-graded by the system. And once you do get the students' grades, you can export those grades to a spreadsheet. So if you're somebody who's doing multiple lessons within the week, you can actually manipulate that data on the spreadsheets and add those for those points to add up to 1 grade at the end of the week. I'm going to try and simplify it and keep all of the grades on 1, but I may end up doing a combination. So I just wanted to show you that the grades can be exported that way, and that there are many different ways that you can take that information for their grade.